Okay. Do you remember going to church this past Sunday? And what did we receive in church? Palm branches. On the very first Palm Sunday, what happened?
Jesus rode a donkey into Jerusalem, and the people shouted, Hosanna! They were telling Jesus they believed he could save them. They were treating him like a king who would win a battle. And he did win. He saved us from a bad life. Now he is our Lord. So we can smile and laugh and sing. Hosanna, hallelujah.
Then Monday goes by, Tuesday goes by, Wednesday goes by, Holy Thursday arrives, Passover meal, the Last Supper, the very last time that Jesus ate with his 12
disciples.
The very first Mass ever celebrated. Jesus broke bread and said, This is my
body.
He poured wine into this cup, and he said what?
This is my blood that will be shed for you.
He continues on with the Last Supper, with Mass, with his 12
disciples.
And he looks around the table and he said, One of you here will
Betray me.
Who was that?
Judas.
And what did Judas receive?
30 silver pieces.
And what did Jesus tell Judas to do?
Go, do what you must do.
And Judas fled. He went to Jesus' enemies. Jesus took Peter, James, and John. And where did they go?
To the Garden of Gethsemane.
What did Jesus do?
Pray.
And what did his disciples do?
Sleep.
As Jesus goes back and he's continuing to pray, and he's taking on all of our sins, and he's full of anguish and sorrow and pain. He goes and checks on his disciples again, and what are they still doing?
Sleeping.
What does he say to them?
You can't even pray with me for 1 hour.
You can't keep watch for 1 hour. And Jesus looks up, and he sees his betrayer coming. It's nighttime. They're in this woody, dark garden. Now, way back then, there wasn't electricity. So they had to have a torch to find their way. And a torch is like a campfire on a stick. And they're looking and trying to find Jesus. And they don't know which one is Jesus because Peter, James, and John is standing there with Jesus. What does Judas do?
Kiss him on the cheek.
The kiss of
Betrayal.
As they start to take Jesus away, they're not being very kind. They're being rough. And Peter gets angry, and he pulls out a sword and does what?
Cut off the soldier's ear.
And what does Jesus do?
Pick it up and put it back on.
What happened?
Instantly healed.
To the very end, Jesus is teaching his friends, just because someone's mean to us, says something unkind, are we to treat them the same way?
No.
What would Jesus want us to do?
Pray.
To pray so their hearts change. As they take Jesus away, they take him to this mean judge. Who is that mean judge?
Pontius Pilate.
Ironically, Pontius Pilate doesn't find Jesus guilty of anything, but it's Passover time, and his courtyard, his praetorium, is full of people, and he is a coward. He is afraid that there's going to be a fight or a riot break out. And it was customary back then during Passover to release one prisoner. Now, who was that big bad guy?
Barabbas.
And what did the crowd start screaming out?
We want Barabbas. We want Barabbas.
do they make Jesus?
A crown of thorns.
Not a crown of gold and diamonds and jewels, but a crown of thorns. They're mocking him and making fun of him, and they call him the King of
Jews.
What did they do with this crown of thorns?
Put it on his head.
What else did they make Jesus?
A heavy cross.
What did Jesus have to do with this heavy cross?
Carry all the town.
As Jesus is carrying that cross, he drops it because he's very weak from the scourging, and the soldiers get angry and they lose patience with Jesus, and they see a man in the crowd, and what do they do to that man?
You there.
Who was that?
Simon of Cyrene.
So Simon of Cyrene helps Jesus carry this cross all the way through the streets up to a hill called
Golgotha.
When Jesus reaches Golgotha, what do they do to him?
Nail his hands and his feet.
Is Jesus the only one being crucified that day?
No.
What does crucify mean?
Kill him on the cross.
There's one on his
Left and one on his right.
The one on his right is mocking him and making fun of him. And the one on his left looks at him and he goes, "We deserve this punishment, but this man is
Innocent.
And he looks at Jesus and he asked for
Forgiveness.
And what does Jesus tell him? For
Today you will be in paradise with me.
Jesus. And what does paradise mean?
Heaven.
Jesus knew the heart of this man. Was he sorry for his sins?
No.
And he knew the heart of this man. And was he forgiven?
Yes.
So that's why every night when you go to bed and you say your nighttime prayers and you think about your day, you examine your conscience. Was I kind? Was I unkind? Did I listen to Mom and Dad? Could I have done better? And then you ask Jesus for
Forgiveness.
And does Jesus forgive you?
Yes.
Because he knows your good hearts. As Jesus is hanging on the cross, what do the soldiers do?
Cast lots.
They roll the dice for his
Tunic.
And why did they do that?
Because it was sewn in one piece and they didn't want to tear it.
As Jesus died on the cross on Good Friday in the afternoon, what happened to the skies?
Turned black.
Then what?
Thunder and lightning.
Then what?
Shook like an
The
earthquake.
ground shook like an earthquake. The people scattered. They ran. They were frightened because they knew they did what?
Kill him in his name.
Then what does a soldier do to Jesus?
Pierced his side.
What came out?
Blood and water.
And what did the water do?
Washed away our sins.
Joseph of Arimathea, who loved Jesus, but in secret so he wouldn't get in trouble, went to that mean judge. Who was that mean judge?
Pontius Pilate.
And asked Pontius Pilate for Jesus' body and was given permission. And on the way back ran into a friend. And who was that?
Nicodemus.
So Joseph of Arimathea and Nicodemus, what did they do?
Ever so gently
took Jesus'
body down from the cross.
and laid him in whose arms?
Our blessed mother.
Our Blessed Mother. Who's our Blessed Mother?
Our heavenly mama.
Our Heavenly Mama. Who else is Mama?
Jesus' mama.
Then what did they do?
Wrapped him up in linen.
They wrapped him up in linen. They laid him in
Tomb.
and what did they roll in front of that tomb?
A stone.
And Jesus laid in that tomb on
Good Friday, Holy Saturday, and Easter morning.
Easter morning, when the women went to anoint Jesus' body, as it was customary to do. What was rolled away?
The stone.
What did they see in the tomb?
Nothing but the cloth.
What did they think?
Somebody stole his body.
What appeared?
An angel.
And what did the angel say?